Jon Gosselin could hardly believe how lucky he was. First, he was blessed with twins, and then came sextuplets. Fame followed quickly and loudly. What began as a dream of creating a big, joyful family soon turned into something much more complicated. From a highly publicized and messy divorce to a series of rocky relationships, Jon's life has been anything but peaceful. Now, he's back in the spotlight, and everyone's talking about him again. The big question remains, will Jon finally find peace, or is this the end of the road for him? Let's find out. Before all the fame, cameras, and chaos, Jon Gosselin was just a regular guy from Wyoming, Pennsylvania. He grew up in a modest home with his mother, Pamela, and his father, who unfortunately passed away in 2005. After high school, Jon didn't chase the spotlight. Instead, he worked installing solar panels under the scorching sun, put in long hours at local restaurants, and even prepped food at TGI Fridays in Lancaster. He gave much of his small earnings to charity. Life was simple, quiet, and far from anything related to reality TV. But things changed fast. In just a few years, Jon went from flipping burgers to becoming a national TV sensation. It all began at a company picnic in the fall of 1997, a day most people wouldn't remember, but one that changed Jon's life forever. That's where he met Kate Kreider. Kate was outspoken and driven, while Jon was more quiet and reserved. Despite their differences, he was quickly drawn to her. By 1999, they were married. Soon after, they welcomed twins, Cara and Maddie. For many, that would have been plenty, but Kate wasn't ready to stop there. Jon wasn't sure about having more children, but Kate was determined. And instead of just one more baby, they got 6. On May 10, 2004, their sextuplets were born. Suddenly, their world was turned upside down: 8 kids, endless diapers, bottles everywhere, and constant chaos. Strangers would stare at them in stores, and whispers followed them through parking lots. Those whispers grew louder. From the outside, they looked like the perfect, oversized family, but inside their home, the stress was building. It wasn't just the number of kids that got people's attention, it was the intensity of their lives. Something about the Gosselins made people stop and stare. Their story spread quickly, not because they sought fame, but because their reality was too dramatic to ignore. Their household became a magnet for attention. Local news crews showed up, and soon cameras were following them constantly. Discovery Health saw the buzz and produced a special called Surviving Sextuplets and Twins just a year after the sextuplets were born. The documentary was a hit. It drew huge ratings, and a follow-up, 1 year later, came out just a year later to even more hype. TLC quickly saw the opportunity and turned the Gosselin family into a weekly phenomenon. Then, in April 2007, Jon Kate Plus 8 premiered. The show exploded in popularity. At its height, the season 5 premiere pulled in 9.8 million viewers, making it the most-watched show on TV that night. Audiences were hooked. People didn't just watch, they cared. The Gosselins became household names. Their faces were everywhere, on magazine covers, talk shows, and news segments. They even published a book with co-writer Beth Carson titled Multiple Blessings: Surviving to Thriving with Twins and Sextuplets, which quickly made the New York Times bestseller list. From the outside, it seemed like everything was perfect. But behind the scenes, pressure was mounting. As the show got bigger, the spotlight got brighter, and the cracks in their marriage deepened. No one expected things to fall apart so fast. But fall apart they did. So what really happened behind those perfectly coordinated outfits and smiling faces? How did it all crash into one of the biggest reality TV scandals ever? The shocking news came on the June 22, 2009 episode of Jon Kate Plus 8. After nearly 10 years together, Jon and Kate announced they were separating, and the divorce process had officially begun. Right away, Jon, still trying to recover from the emotional hit, was spotted apartment hunting on Manhattan's Upper West Side. Reports said he even looked at units in Trump Place, owned by Donald Trump at the time. Jon admitted he never wanted his. Their 10-year marriage began to fall apart in full public view. In a last attempt to slow the divorce he had initiated, Jon filed a request to delay the proceedings by 90 days, hoping, at least on paper, to create space for reconsideration. In a rare public show of remorse, he admitted, "I regret my conduct since Kate and I separated. I used poor judgment in publicly socializing with other women so soon." At the same time, he was facing a $22,000 monthly child support order, which only added to the growing tension. Kate, meanwhile, made it clear that appearances didn't matter on her end, the real damage had already been done. In her own statement, she pointed to Jon's behavior as the final straw, leaving her no choice but to pursue legal action to protect herself and their 8 children. Her words were cold, formal, and unequivocal. Behind the scenes, the tabloids exploded. Rumors spread rapidly, and Jon Gosselin's name was suddenly connected to 22-year-old Haley Glassman, the daughter of Kate's plastic surgeon. The connection was too ironic and scandalous to ignore. Haley claimed their relationship didn't begin until the marriage had already ended, but by then, the public had made up its mind. Jon was cast as the villain. The drama continued to escalate. In late summer 2009, police were called to the Gosselin home in Wernersville, Pennsylvania, after a heated argument, allegedly over Jon's choice of babysitter. No one was arrested, and no charges were filed, but the image of police officers outside their once idyllic home sent another shockwave through the public narrative. Determined not to let Jon control the narrative, TLC responded with a countersuit. They accused him of breaching his contract by making unauthorized media appearances. This wasn't just a slap on the wrist, they were seeking over $30,000 in damages. Jon's legal team pushed back, arguing that the contract was invalid. They claimed the rebranding of the show changed everything and that Jon hadn't even had legal representation when he signed the original deal. But whatever Jon thought he could salvage, his marriage, his reputation, or his place in the spotlight, was already gone. The divorce was finalized on December 18, 2009. Kate walked away with primary custody of all 8 children and full ownership of the family home in Wernersville. It was a devastating loss for Jon. That same month, Haley Glassman ended their relationship, alleging that Jon had cheated, this time with tabloid reporter Kate Major. Still, the drama didn't stop there. On August 22, 2017, tensions exploded once again, this time at an orthodontist's office. A shouting match over 13-year-old Hannah ended with police involvement. Although no one was arrested, the situation made the conflict between Jon and Kate crystal clear. Jon left with Hannah, while Kate was referred to the district attorney to clarify the custody arrangement. A few months later, Jon was granted permanent custody of Hannah. Kate's attempt to appeal the decision failed due to a lack of jurisdiction. Nearly a year later, Jon returned to court, this time fighting for custody of Colin, who had spent the last 2 years in a treatment facility. It seemed he was holding on to the final pieces of what was once his family. When Kate didn't appear in court, Jon was awarded full physical and legal custody of Colin. The boy came home just in time for Boxing Day. After that, Jon and Kate only communicated through their lawyers. Their co-parenting relationship had completely broken down. Then came financial trouble. Legal documents revealed Jon's accusation that Kate had withdrawn $100,000 from Hannah and Colin's trust accounts to cover her expenses. Kate argued that the funds were used for essentials like education and living costs. But the timing raised suspicion, especially since she had just purchased a. Kate was living in a $750,000 lakefront home and reportedly earning $40,000 per episode for her dating show spin-off Kate Plus dates. Jon criticized her actions as disgusting, accusing her of showing no remorse for taking from the very children they had once promised the world. With bitter court battles, broken relationships, and a family scattered across states, many wondered if Jon and Kate Gosselin ever reconciled, even for their children's sake. And now, people are talking about Jon again. Why? Following the end of their marriage, Jon Gosselin opened up about his post-divorce relationship with Kate. In what felt more like a reckoning than an interview, he spoke candidly with E! News. When asked about their current communication, he didn't hesitate. "We don't communicate," he said flatly, adding that the last time he heard her voice in person was in 2018. There were no texts, no calls, and no pretense of co-parenting, just years of silence broken only by court filings and legal disputes. The last time they had a meaningful interaction was during their custody battle over Colin, one of their 8 children, whose reality had quietly shifted from the family's on-screen image. Colin had accused Kate of emotional and verbal abuse, a claim she fiercely denied. But in the end, the court ruled in Jon's favor and granted him custody. The decision sparked yet another wave of tabloid headlines. Most people would be emotionally wrecked after such a painful and prolonged ordeal, losing a marriage, a home, and daily contact with their children. But Jon showed surprising strength, finding a way to remain grounded and calm despite the chaos. By 2024, Jon had moved into a new chapter of his life. He was no longer chasing TV fame but had found a refreshing sense of normalcy in a new relationship. He met Liz Janetta, a 27-year-old IT specialist and mother of 3, at a restaurant near Philadelphia, far removed from the spotlight that once defined him. Liz, tall and blonde, was quickly labeled by the public as a Kate lookalike, a comparison both she and Jon dismissed. Despite the rumors and public scrutiny, Jon remained unfazed, having learned over time how to block out the noise and focus on what truly mattered. Liz had never seen Jon and Kate Plus 8 and only knew what the tabloids had painted Jon to be, a fame seeker, a serial dater, a disaster. But what she found was quite the opposite. He was warm and funny, she later said. Not at all what I thought. Their relationship may have worked because it existed outside the media circus. But more importantly, it was Jon's sincerity that drew her in. Despite his past being turned into public drama, he had managed to stay grounded, wounded, but not broken. For Jon, Liz wasn't just another relationship. She represented a fresh start and proof that life could be rebuilt. Even after the messiest split, bitter custody fights, and estrangement, peace was still possible. For the first time in years, he wasn't known as someone's ex-husband or a reality TV casualty. He was just Jon. And somehow, he had found his way back faster than anyone expected. As he began to put his life back together after the collapse of his marriage, Jon found a sense of joy again. For a while, it seemed like he had truly found happiness with Liz. They were often seen strolling through the streets of Philadelphia, hand in hand. Jon looked relaxed and content, far removed from the man once defined by courtroom battles and media meltdowns. Between his 8 children and Liz's 3, the couple managed to laugh through the madness of parenting and daily routines. They get along awesome, Liz said proudly when asked about the kids. But life is rarely as smooth as it seems. Blending 2 large families meant dealing with constant challenges. And even Jon, after surviving years of emotional turmoil, found it hard to keep pace. With his full-time IT job, ongoing media obligations, and lingering court matters, and Liz managing her career and motherhood, the pressure began to mount. Simple day-to-day tasks turned into logistical puzzles. At Willow on Park in Wyoming, the atmosphere was warm, the lights were dim, the food was comforting, and for once, Jon Gosselin wasn't a reality TV figure. He was just a man in love. He got down on one knee and proposed. Without hesitation, she said yes. After enduring years of public scrutiny, heartbreak, and hard-earned healing, Jon had finally found happiness again. But the real challenge wouldn't be the wedding vows, it would be navigating the everyday life that came after. Now a father of 8 grown children, Jon was starting a new chapter with Stephanie, who was raising 3 of her own. They weren't just combining homes, they were trying to merge lives shaped by very different pasts. Jon's children had witnessed their father's breakdown and eventual recovery following a very public, very chaotic divorce. Meanwhile, Stephanie's kids were preparing to welcome a stepfather whose name had once been linked with tabloid drama and reality TV scandals. It's likely they wondered what becoming this new kind of family would really mean. What's clear now is that Jon Gosselin is no longer chasing headlines. He's searching for peace and stability. This time, he's not crafting a life for the cameras, he's creating one for the people around his dinner table. He's working to regain the time he lost with family. After all the years in the spotlight, perhaps the most meaningful part of Jon's story is the one being written by his children. So, where are Jon's kids now? His oldest daughters, Maddie and Cara, are 24 and have built lives far from the reality TV world they once knew. Maddie graduated from Syracuse University, while Cara earned her degree at Fordham and now works at Bank of America. Despite their success, a family reunion hasn't happened. Both have distanced themselves from Jon. Maddie has even criticized how he's handled family issues, especially regarding their brother, Colin. To Jon, the silence from his oldest daughters speaks volumes. Colin, on the other hand, has always stood by his side. After being placed in a mental health facility by Kate in 2016, it was Jon who fought for and won custody. Since then, Colin has been vocal about his difficult relationship with his mother and has remained fiercely loyal to his dad. However, Jon's connection with the other sextuplets, Alexis, Aiden, Joel, and Leah, is, at best, strained. They remain with Kate and have kept quiet about their father. Some social media posts show moments of reunion with siblings, but Jon is noticeably missing. Whether that's by their choice or his, those children have chosen to keep their distance. Jon, for his part, seems deeply aware of the gap that remains between them. Ultimately, Jon's relationship with his children reflects the division that shaped his public life, fragmented, emotional, and filled with both unwavering loyalty from some and painful silence from others. Today, Jon Gosselin is stepping into a fresh start. For the first time in many years, he's putting his own needs first. After living under a media microscope and enduring the fallout from his high-profile divorce, he's focusing on his health and personal well-being. Recently, he shared that he began taking Ozempic, a diabetes medication, to help him lose weight, dropping 32 pounds in just 2 months. Since starting the semaglutide treatment in February 2024, Jon has felt better than he has in years. He said he wished he had started sooner. During a candid interview at a West Hollywood event, Jon looked back on his journey. "I regret not doing this 10 years ago," he said, admitting that the timing hadn't been right back then. "I had a lot going on emotionally," he explained, referring to the emotional toll of his divorce, court battles, and the pressures of raising children in the public eye. Caught up in the stress of supporting drama, Jon was stretched thin, both emotionally and financially. He simply didn't have the time or energy to care for himself. Life had become overwhelming, and as he put it, "I just didn't have time for me." But now that those burdens are behind him, Jon is finally turning his attention to what truly matters, his own happiness and well-being. He credits medication not only with helping him shed pounds but also with cutting down his alcohol consumption and helping him regain control over his eating habits. "It helped me slow down with the alcohol," he explained, noting that he was finally able to make healthier choices. He's even exploring body contouring and fat-melting treatments to refine his appearance. However, he's quick to point out that surgery isn't for him. "Liposuction? No way," he laughed. "I'd never go under the knife just because I was lazy. If I need to work out, I'll work out." Though he's now committed to personal growth, Jon acknowledges that the past was rough. Opening up about it all, he admits feeling regret about how things ended, but he's not letting that hold him back. "I'm looking forward to being a better person," he said, choosing to focus on the future rather than past mistakes. This time, he's no longer chasing public approval or media attention. His transformation wasn't just physical, he was ready for a major life change. After losing his job in tech, Jon suddenly had more time on his hands. Instead of letting the setback defeat him, he took a step back to think about what he really wanted. Encouraged by his fiancée Stephanie, who believed in his potential, Jon decided to pursue his long-held dream of becoming a full-time DJ. That one suggestion sparked something inside him. With his kids off to college, the now-quiet home became the perfect launchpad for this new journey. Jon threw himself into the DJ world, landing gigs in cities like Denver, Austin, and Santa Monica. The energy of the crowds reignited something in him. He's now a regular at the Hollywood Casino in Morgantown, where his sets blend everything from Motown to classic rock, catering to audiences ranging in age from their 20s to their 90s. He's even booked to perform at the grand opening of America's Nights, a stylish new nightclub in Allentown, a city he hasn't performed in for years. Although his earlier music endeavors with DJ Casper didn't take off as hoped, Jon now focuses on well-paying, rewarding gigs that offer him the freedom he always wanted. But it's no longer just about the music. Jon genuinely enjoys connecting with fans, snapping photos, and having meaningful conversations, something he never had the time or mindset for during the chaotic, media-heavy periods of his past. From a life marked by public scrutiny and personal hardship, Jon has emerged with a fresh sense of purpose. With a powerful transformation, renewed focus on health, and a career that aligns with his passion, Jon Gosselin is once again in the spotlight, and this time, it's for all the right reasons. What do you think about Jon Gosselin's return to the public eye in his peaceful new chapter? Share your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, see you in the next one.